final Superlights Pre-season Test in 2025. An hour and a half left on the clock. This is it. The final time to show your money. The final time to show what you are made of. The final time to hello and welcome. If you are joining us, it is a pleasure to bring you all the action from the virtual Baku City Street Circuit. With Fabian Jungbluth on the camera, for myself, Ruben Machete, and Super League race winner Carlos Martin alongside me. Carlos, it's great to have you alongside me. It's great to hear your voice again, and it's great to have Superlights back for the final time of this season before we get going down on in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, well, it's fantastic to be alongside you in the commentator cabin and with Fabian again in the cameras. So let's hope this year we can do slightly better than last year. Last year, I think Superlights gave us a lot of show, and we hope this will be even better than last year, so we can provide an even better commentatory this year. It's gonna be very exciting this year. There is a lot of movements in the lineups. Some drivers that are going up to Super League, some drivers that are moving up from Formula Sprint 1, and even some changes between the teams in Superlights. So there is a lot of new teams, a lot of new drivers, and exchanging drivers, I would say, even. So it's going to be very exciting what we can see at Australia. I think nothing will be even close to what we seen last year. Fundamentally, Road to Formula is not anymore here. The reigning champion, well, 2 consecutive seasons in a row, are not longer racing in Superlights. So champion is wanted right now.
Why don't we take a look at the calendar starting before we get into this? Discuss what's going on this year. So, 11th of March, Australian Grand Prix, first round of the season, going down. We're heading to Turkey, Istanbul, the 20th of March for the second round of the season. Japanese Grand Prix heading to Suzuka. Then the Jeddah Circuit in Saudi Arabia, 22nd. Spanish Grand Prix, to Carlos's hometown, Catalonia, that's the 6th of May 2025. Then, a big change-up, United States Grand Prix a lot earlier in the season this year, and a change of track. We go to not Istanbul, Indianapolis. Yeah, that was a very interesting change to head away from certainly the Superlights last year at Koji for an absolutely incredible race. So much drama and chaos going on. We're changing things up. We're going to the Brickyard, so we'll have to see how that goes. Then we're going to Canada on the 17th of June at the Jungbluth circuit. Then we're going to on the 1st of July, heading to Silverstone, of course. Then the German Grand Prix, another change up. We're going to the Nürburgring this year instead of Hockenheim. Of course, that being the GP circuit on the blazing also. Pay a lot of money to see these guys do a launch like a race to the exhibition. Then to Spa on the 29th of July. The Hungarian follows on the 12th of August. The Italian Grand Prix on 9th of September in Monza. Then the Mexican Grand Prix, Mexico City Street Circuit. On the 23rd of September. That one, thank you, Carlos. Singapore follows 7th of October. Then we go to Brazil on the 21st of October. And yet again, another big shake-up. 21st of October, Brazilian Grand Prix. Not the final round this year. There was lots of umming and ahhing about that from the GPVWC heads. There was lots of outrage on that one at GPVWC Day back in Warsaw last year when that got announced that Brazil would go on the final. That's because Abu Dhabi returns to the calendar. That's the big closure of the season. So we'll wait and see how it's all going to unfold. It should be very, very interesting. It's going to be. So that's the calendar for this year. It could be very, very interesting, Carlos.
Yeah, it will definitely be. Yeah, it will definitely be. And I think one of the most interesting races, as you mentioned, is the Indianapolis race. In case you guys don't know, it is a mixture between what the track was looking like in 2005 and 6 and what is it currently right now. So essentially, they mix a lot of the corners, and we will do a super fast banking because we will avoid the third sector. So it's gonna be like a pretty niche track, very well, as we see a front wing there. This is very niche track in terms of the upgrades system. So probably we will see some teams that are actually pretty focused on what maybe they can achieve at Indianapolis. And that's one of the races I'm really looking forward to have a check. And the rest of the calendar is very interesting, changing one Germany for the other one. They have very similar characteristics, so we'll see hopefully another rain race in Germany as we had in Super League. And let's see how it develops. As you most all know, the first race is without any updates, so all the cars will have exactly the same development, exactly the same engines. So we can expect really tight races, although the first race is always a bit difficult to see and not very relevant. Well, it's relevant in points terms, but in terms of performance, everything can shake up pretty fast due to setup knowledge, upgrade knowledge, etc. But I'm very excited. We have a lot of options for this year. I don't think there is like a clear candidate to take the driver's title, neither the constructors, although I think I have a very clear idea on the constructors one rather than the drivers one. I think we both agree on the drivers favorite. I think we both agree without even chatting about it. We have this feeling, right? But who's your favorite for this year, Ross?
I mean, you put some pressure on me now, Carlos. I don't know. I don't agree. I mean, I was going to say that there's a lot of very strong drivers in this grid. Of course, it's the second tier of GPVWC. It's the tier before Super League. It's a very strong grid regardless. But this year, I mean, in general this year, we have a very strong grid. It should be very interesting to see what we're getting going. We'll wait and see. Personally, I'm not going to say drivers.
Before anything, shall we review the teams and the new drivers before we go into what is?
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Let's go through teams, drivers, all of the above. We've got plenty of time in our hands.
Do you want me to take the lead with that, or you want to take the lead?
Go ahead. I mean, I do have it up. I do quite know.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So one of the teams that raced last year and this year is racing is True North Motorsport, which last year they had a great season with David Fidok leading the team. And David Fidok is staying in True North Motorsport, but they're also acquiring one of the best drivers in Superlights, which is Jan Dragoon, who was previously racing for Drake Racing. And this is a extremely good acquisition. It's probably one of the moves of the preseason, and this is one of the strongest, if not the strongest, lineup already. And the reserve drivers, they have one of also really young drivers that is shining in FS2 and maybe in other categories in the future, which is Brody Lawless. The RD points are super important in SL2. You need to have the speed and consistency. Let's hope Brody Lawless, with a good team environment, can actually start learning those things. Then we've got Drake Racing, which last year they had Tom van der Voort, and they had also Jan Dragoon, but this year, as we mentioned, Jan Dragoon is racing for True North, and then Drake Racing is acquiring Filip Puška, who raced last year for Zortax in Super League, and this is also an amazing acquisition. I've raced Filip for so many years in the past. We are all rockers from the early 2010s era when you still had diapers, Ross. So yeah, you know, we are all the dinosaurs, but I know if he takes the effort that is required, he is also really a candidate for the season. So watch out with Drake, because they lost Jan Dragun, but they found an exquisite replacement. Then we have TTF Racing, and here we have Mateusz Pishan, which actually departed from True North and went to TTF Racing. And then we have Jan Sikora, who is also staying there in TTF. So both the three teams
I should talk about Jan Sikora. He has just found himself in the barriers, by the way. But
yeah. But I mean, it's fine. He's just chilling there. He's just, you know, taking a small nap, or probably finished the test already, and that's pretty much about it. Then we have the first team. Rohtjarv from last year, which had really high highs and some other low lows, but Dominic had some high highs, and then they acquired Chris Gitsov for this year and Victor Borley as reserve. Then we have the last of the teams that are keeping from last year. We have PZZW with David Kupra as one of their primary drivers, and Norbert Jakob, which is completely a new lineup for them, and we'll see how it goes for them this year. If you want, Ross, if you can navigate through the new teams, I'll give you the go with the new teams.
Absolutely. Before we do that, I've just had a message which I feel like is quite important to reveal, given the stature of it. Unfortunately, for the time being, David Fidok has just told me, and he's given me permission to say this, he will not be racing for the start of this season. I won't go into why, he has told me, but he's had some family stuff go on, and that's completely understandable. Again, this is not everyone's full-time job here in GPVWC, unfortunately. So obviously our hearts go out to David. We hope that everything is okay. We're sending our support, we're sending our love, and hopefully that he can be back in the car as soon as possible. So that's a real blow, you know, to us as fans watching, to us in the commentary box, wanting to see a fantastic driver, to True North Motorsport. So I'm assuming we'll see Brody Lawless, their reserve driver, step in for him for the time being. I'm sure that he'll be back in the car as soon as he can be, but for the time being, unfortunately, you know, life takes a priority over sim racing sometimes. So all our love to David, and hopefully he'll be okay. But yeah, that's some breaking news for you there. David Fidok will not be piloting the number 10 car for True North Motorsport this year. Honestly, I was going to say he was one of my favourites for the title this year, actually, going into it. So that's a huge blow. Obviously not just for him, but for True North as well. And again, sending all of our love over to Fidok and his family. Hopefully everything will be okay. So breaking news for you there, but let's go through some of the new teams that we have for you this season. Moving swiftly onwards. So heading up from FS1 this year, so getting promoted, as you will. We've got Netrex Grand Prix, Alpha Delta Racing, Kings Racing, Lunok, and Team Rookie Monsters. So some very, very strong teams heading into this season. People that, a lot of them you'd be surprised aren't already around in Superlights and up in Super League already. They've had to work their way up the GPVWC calendar as with everyone else. Also joining them up in Superlights this year, we've got KV86 Powerhouse, the Formula Sprint 2 champions from last year. We've also got Optiminal, who were the FS2 runners-up in 2024. They'll also be joining them, and also Brem GP also joining them. They've been around for many, many moons, many, many years. A historic team in R Factor 2. They've just been given a straight pass straight in. So they're your new teams for this season. Of course, we've lost Road to Formula Racing, Spark Racing, and Valet Esports. They've all moved up to Super League. And unfortunately, Red Ven Racing and Chaos, they've both withdrawn from GPVWC, so a big shame. Chaos as well, that was a late decision from that mark, so a real shame to lose those guys. We've got a lot of new faces on the grid. Well, new faces, I say, some familiar new faces. Should be a very, very exciting season, to say the least. Let's go through who those teams have on their driver lineup. Netrex Racing, for starters. If I can actually find them. There we go, found them. They've got Harry Smith and Jose Soriano in their lineup, and Oliver Taras as their reserve driver. That's a very, very strong lineup off there. Spark Racing. I'm going in order and then can't actually find who's lining up for who, to be fair.
I can help you if you want.
No, I've got it. It's all fine. It's all fine. Spark Racing actually left. I'm reading the wrong one. It's fine. Alpha Delta Racing. They'll be pulling up with, if I can find them again, found them, there we go. They've got Mirko Lucchini and Federico Russo with Luca Thailand as their reserve driver. Again, very decent lineup there for the Canadian squad. Kings Racing should be very interesting. They've got Luke Mitchell and Scott Mitchell-Marr with Jack Nichols as their reserve driver. So it'd be interesting that. Be interesting if Jack decides to step into the car, or needs to step into the car at any point through the season as well. Let's see how he does out on track. I'm sure he'll be fine, or just as good as he is in the commentary box anyway. Elsewhere, Lunark, they're pulling up with Mike Quint and Daniel Herlock with Chris Butcher as their reserve driver. Again, very, very strong lineup there. And Team Rookie Monsters, it's Robin Merling and Daniel Scott with James Andrews as their reserve driver. Again, very, very strong lineups. All the new teams coming into this season are coming through with some very strong teams, very strong driver lineups. All the teams that are coming through are strong teams in themselves. So the new boys this season could be causing upsets, could be costing the established teams who are looking to get into Super League race wins, certainly. It should be very interesting to see how they do. I'm very excited, especially for Team Rookie Monsters and Netrex. Those two, for me, are the big names coming in to Superlights this season. Of course, that's no disrespect to Alpha Delta, Kings, and Lunark. They're all very big names within their own right. But Rookie Monsters, I mean, they're one of the R-Factor 2 teams. They've done everything, everywhere in this game. And as well, Netrex, I mean, it's Netrex. They're a classic GPVWC team, and they should be interesting to see how they do moving forward. So some big names in terms of teams coming through. Those teams with some big drivers as well, but a very, very strong grid. I said it earlier, Carlos. It seems this year, not just in Superlights, but with GPVWC in general, we just have a ridiculously strong turnout. And here's me thinking, oh, I might buy another wheel and hop in a couple of academy races. And then I'm seeing some of the, like, even down in, you know, Formula Sprint 1, Formula Sprint 2, you know, the bottom rungs of the true GPVWC ladder. It's an outrageous grid that we're getting all throughout. And we're not even up to Super League yet. It's great to see so many strong drivers turning up. It shows how much GPVWC has grown in the last couple of years, even as an established league. It's shown how much that sim racing has grown in the last couple of years as well, and it is absolutely fantastic to see. Carlos, you did say that we were in the same mind about who your favourite is for the title. Given that breaking news about David Friedok, quite frankly, I was thinking it was going to be him. So I don't know who you were thinking, and you said we were in the same mind. Were you also thinking David Friedok, or did you have another driver in mind?
With all respect to Friedok, of course, we all have opinions, and then I thought we were more in sync, but actually,
I guess not. I guess not.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised we are not. But I actually go for your boy. I was thinking on Jan Dragon to be actually the favorite.
Great shout. Great shout with Jan Dragon.
For me, he's. I always say this sentence: you're as good as your last race was. And Jan won the last race, and he was in a really commanding form. And I also see the progression he did over the season. It was a continuous, steady progression, and I think that is very scary, because when you see a driver that is constantly evolving, having more pace and more consistent and more solid, I think. He is, for me, the favorite, although there are many candidates that can actually challenge Jan, and one of them I think would be Machete, and others would have been Viduk, and then maybe to some extent Pushka. And from the new teams you mentioned, Netrex and Rookie Monsters, I would mention Optiminal as well. I think Optiminal, you cannot forget what they did in FS2, and they they ramp up completely the lineup with Joseph Hurlock, which last year he was very fast. He had a bit of problems with tire degradation sometimes, but he was very fast. And they have Ruben Machete, which can actually lead the team very well as well. And then there are lots of drivers that are new to the GPVWC community, so a lot of things that might happen. So we will see here. The management of the team and the evolution of the car will take a great part on the performance of the car. So here it takes also the manager performance. Let's call it.
To be fair, Jan Dragoon is a fantastic shout for, you know, the favourite heading into it. I said it all last season when we first started seeing Jan in Superlights. I've known Jan since he raced on Assetto Corsa beforehand, and he was a fantastic driver in that. Just so much natural ability and a lot of work ethic as well, making the jump into R Factor 2. Obviously it took a little bit of time for things to click. Took a little bit of time for, you know, things to work out, getting used to how you drive on this game and getting used to the team as well over at Drake Racing, as he was with at the time. But man oh man, he had a very, very quick rising season. 2023 he won a race in Formula Sprint 1, won the reverse grid race here in Baku actually, and then last year a whole host of podiums and consistent finishes, and then finally taking his first Superlights win at the final round in Sao Paulo. If he's done the work in the off-season, that is absolutely an incredible shout for one of our favourites. Again, with True North as well, a very, very strong team. It could be his year, but there's so many strong drivers in this grid. I mean, looking through over at Drake Racing this year, we've got Tom van der Voort, or Vincent as I often call him because I get mixed up with the darts player, and Philip Pushka as well. That's an incredible, incredible lineup. Over at TTF, we've got Matthews, Pish, Kanyan, Sakura, Fusion. We've got Maxime, Bulio, and Remco de Joux linking up for another year. They had a very strong year last year. Let's see how they can grow and develop again. They got so much stronger as the season progressed in 2024. Again, a strong off-season for them. They could be swinging out of the gates early doors this season. Gallery 82, of course, lining up with Alexander Rogota and Michelle Galka, the all-Polish lineup. Alpha Sierra, Dominic Koroshaning and Chris Gitsov. Outrageous stuff. PZZW, David Krupka and Norbert Jakob, that's strong. Netrex, got Harry Smith and Jose Soriano. Alpha Delta, Mirko Lucchini and Federico Russo. Kings, we've got Luke Mitchell, Scott Mitchell-Marm. Lunark, we've got Mike Quint.
Wait, Lunark. Yeah, sorry, Quint. I forgot about Quint. You can never forget about Quint. He just took a really dominant win in FS1 with the championship. I just forgot to mention, and when you just said the name, it just popped to my mind. And just a shout out to Mike. Just forgot him to mention. Sorry, Ross.
No, of course. Yeah, Mike Quint, very, very strong driver. Moving on, Rookie Monsters, Robin Merling, Daniel Scott, outrageous. And again, Rookie Monsters, a fantastic team. It's great to have them in Superlights. They're a team that deserves to be in Superlights. They've done so much in R Factor 2. Used to race against those guys back in my days of doing touring cars on this simulator. I did beat one of them once. That was the highlight of my sim racing career. I won a whole one race in a season. A KV86, we've got Patrick Magnussen and Noah Tumela. Optiminal, Joseph Hurlock, Ruben Machete, Brem, Tom Satherley and Cass Reitveld. It's just such a strong grid on paper looking into 2025. And it is sure to be, yet again, a fantastic, fantastic season. And hopefully, at some point, we'll hear from some of the drivers, some of the team bosses, and etc. heading into it. I mean, we are speaking to one of the team bosses, technically, in Carlos Martin. Of course, interviews are open if anyone's watching along. Feel free to hop into the commentary box. We'd love to hear your thoughts. We're not seeing a lot of drivers out on track at the moment. This test, given it's the second pre-season test for Superlights, it's limited laps, limited time. And the test has been running before we went on air, so a lot of the drivers came in earlier, did their times, went away. So that's why there's only 7 drivers in the server at the moment. I mean, if everyone's done before we're finished and no one wants an interview, I'm sure we'll just pack up early. But, you know, that's just the nature of things. On the subject of interviews, Carlos Martin, you mentioned earlier that Ruben Machete wanted an interview.
Yeah, he wanted. Before we go into the interviews, I would like to do a small exercise, a small like a small thing we can, once the season is over and we are doing this young drivers test and race of champions, and we can go back to this moment and do the clips, you know, what we were very wrong and what we were right, you know. We mentioned the drivers championship, but it will be also a fun exercise, just quick fire. How many race winners are we gonna have this year?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question. I mean,
Quick fire.
It's quick fire. Oh, 5.
6 for
at
me.
least.
Okay.
6 for you. Again, I was going to say, it's such a strong grid. There's so many good teams, it's hard to call early doors. I'm going to go with 5.
How
I think
many
we had
teams?
5 last year? How many teams?
How many teams are gonna win a race this year?
How many teams? I'll go with 3 teams. 5
3 teams.
winners.
I'll go.
Yeah.
I'll go 4. I'll go 4. And furthermore, how many teams are gonna score a podium this season?
Oh, everyone. Everyone.
No, you've got 15 teams. I'll say there will be 8.
I'm going to go with 9. I think that there's a lot of teams that could definitely be fighting at the top end, even if they're not winning races.
Wet races. 2
Yeah,
for me.
but you know what? Rain, who cares?
Come on.
Carlos, it's a hard one to call just because of how strong the grid is, how many great teams are in Superlights this year. Honestly, I'll say this, I'll say that, it's hard to call winning races. Like
Wet races. Most depth car. So the most developed car. Which team would be?
oh, don't ask me that. I don't know.
I would say. Okay, I'll say True North. Okay.
Yeah.
No?
Should we get Ruben in for an interview?
Okay, let's go with that.
Do you want to do it? Or shall I do it?
No, you'll do.
Oh, fine. If you insist, let's grab Ruben Machete. Ruben, first of all, can you hear us?
Yes, loud and clear.
Fantastic stuff, Ruben Machete. It is great to have you here in the commentary box, and great to hear your voice again. Been a little while, so happy to have you along with us. How's things? How's the test? How's life?
Well, the test today was quiet and easy to get the laps done. How is life with the mod so far? Yeah, I have been struggling with this mod so far on the laps for Melbourne. I never really got a good feeling for it, except for one day where I was on it and had a good pace, but I don't know if I can attend the first race, as I'm not home on that day till like 9 p.m, so we will see.
We shall wait and see. How is the mood over in the Optiminal Esports camp? What's the feeling going into the season? How are you guys looking forward to Superlights? Of course, you've made a big jump up from Formula Sprint 2. So are you guys excited for the season? Are you worried? Are you just going into it not really thinking about it?
I mean, me and Joseph are pretty chilled about it. I mean, in the test, I wrote to him a few jokes because he was getting bored. So, and yeah, overall, it's a big jump, of course. But I think last year we have proven by joining different leagues like FSR World Championship, FSR Pro, that we can do big jumps, and we are ready for it. Also with Joseph, is a podium scorer, who can definitely fight for victory. Myself, that has proved himself or myself in GPV like many times, and also with last year's performance in an undeveloped car in the Fusion, still fighting or having the pace to win races. So looking forward.
Should be very exciting. I mean, you guys, you've got a very strong team. You've got a very strong lineup with yourself and Joseph in the car, James Knox as well as your reserve driver. So lots of things to be excited about. What would you say that your aim is this season, both yourself and the team? Are you straight away gunning for the title, or is it just more about consistent results, bed yourself into Superlights, maybe 2026 the year you really go for it?
Well, last year when I did my prediction, it backfired horribly, because after the third race I decided to quit because I didn't enjoy it. But well, my hope is the title, because I know I have the pace for it. But realistically, the better chances are at the teams that are already established in Superlights, like True North, Drake, and I mean also the other new teams are really strong. Overall, this whole lineup this year in Superlights is so strong, so you can have many favorites like Jan Dragoon, Mike Quint. Unfortunately, David Fidok had a situation which he needed to stop racing, which is unfortunate for him. I think he would have also been a great title contender, and so many more.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, we're hoping that David can, join back into the season a little bit later on, and maybe if he can't fight for the title as a result, he can still be fighting. But as you said, so many strong drivers in this grid. It's something we've been saying all the time while we've been on air during this preseason test. It's just such a strong grid in Superlights this year in 2025. We're a couple of weeks away from Australia, Ruben. Australia, track you like? How are you thinking you're going to go for that? Have you done any offline testing there, or are you just going to jump in and see what happens?
Well, I've already mentioned it before with Melbourne, that I didn't have any confidence till like 1 week ago. 1 week ago it just clicked, and yeah, I found good pace, overall strong pace, but I think we are still a little bit behind, like maybe 2 or 3 tenths, which we need to find in the setup. But I think we have a great team, great group with the work on the setup. And Melbourne overall is an okay track, but not my favorite.
Well, we'll have to wait and see how it goes. Again, 11th of March, if you're just tuning in. First race of the GPVWC Superlights calendar. Heading down under to the Albert Park Street Circuit in Melbourne, Australia, or virtual Melbourne, Australia anyway. Carlos, if you're here with us, I see that you muted yourself, and that's fine if you're not here, but I'll give it a second.
I am here.
He is here, fantastic. Anything you want to ask, Ruben?
Well, I would like to know which teams you are expecting to fight the most during the season, Ruben, considering you guys have a strong lineup that I think you can guys fight even the established teams in Superlights, but more or less, what's your target, and more or less who are you expecting to be close with during this season?
I mean, expecting to fight at the top, both drivers, but I think the main contenders are gonna be Truth North with Jan. Okay, we need to wait for the second driver now. If it's David Fidok joining back, I don't know. I don't see it happening, but also another strong lineup is Lunak with Mike Quint, who is FS1 champion, and also Daniel Herlock, who is really good in BTCC or touring cars. Also as well, who could be good for some surprises, are Drake Racing with Philip Puschke, also a very fast guy, or also Networks with Harry Smith, who drove for Road to Formula Racing last season for a few races and proved himself also. But also, like KV86 could be good for a surprise with Patrick Magnussen or Tormella, or also Robin Wuling. So it's so hard to say which one we are fighting. I think it's gonna be dependent on the track. So if you like one track, you'll be good at it, fight it at the front, and also if you have a bad track, it's gonna be exactly the opposite.
And knowing this is going to be very close, and it's important the team decision on the upgrade path, right? And do you, without getting into details, do you guys already have a clear decision on the path you want to take with the upgrades?
Nope, not at all. Really not.
Oh, well, I'm surprised because I think that would be if the grid is very close, then the setups and the upgrade path will be the most important thing, and I think soon should be submitted, and I think that will be important, and it will take a very important role for this year.
Yeah, it's definitely important. I mean, this year we have a new floor upgrade, and also some upgrades are not as useful as last year, which makes it harder to decide. But yeah, we will see. I think we will make a good choice. We have experienced team chef with Remco, who knows already a bit, and also with Joseph, who has done now, I think, 2 years of Superlights, so I think that's gonna be fine.
Interesting. Well, I think that was all from my side. I don't know, Ruben, if you want to add something else on your side.
Well, I think it's gonna be an exciting year. I hope this season is just gonna be nice fighting with not much toxicity or whatever, just to enjoy it. I think that should be the main goal of all here, and yeah, let the best win.
Great message.
One final thing from me, Ruben. I don't want to sound like a bit of a knob, if you excuse my French. It's after the watershed, it's fine. Who, looking at the grid, outside of yourself, obviously, would you say is the favourite for the title? It was a debate me and Carlos were having very, very strongly earlier. Again, no pressure. No worries if you can't name anyone or if there's a lot of drivers, but who would you say, looking into it, is the driver that everyone needs to be a little bit worried about?
I mean, Jan Dragoon had a strong finish to the year, but I don't know if he can keep the good pace of last year. Philip Puschke is always very consistent. My final guess would be... that's so difficult, really.
It is a difficult one. Again, take your time, no rush, no worries. This isn't a race broadcast where everything's going on. It's a pre-season. I'm just asking for the sake of asking.
I would say Harry Smith of Fanatics.
Strong, interesting call. Interesting call. But could be a very strong contender. We'll wait and see. Yeah, I think that's all from me. Carlos, unless you have anything else to add, I think that's us done.
That's great. I hope you can race Australia, even if it's like in a late joining moment, or even with a low effort testing, Ruben.
Yeah.
The points will be always important, but just make sure that even if you don't race, it's only one race, and it's very little the times that the championship is decided by one race, so you can perfectly contend for it. So good luck for the season, and we'll be here enjoying your driving skills.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the pre-season test, and yeah, have a good night.
Thank you very much, Ruben Machete, for speaking to us. Great pleasure to hear from him. And hope he's having an enjoyable evening, as we are. 47 minutes left and 20 seconds on the clock in the final pre-season test here of Superlights. If you are just joining us, hello and welcome. This is the final pre-season test for the 2025 GPVWC Superlights season. Hope you're enjoying the action so far. Again, not too much going on. There's only 8 cars in the server, or 7 cars should I say, as one just leaves in the server as it stands. Again, this test, unlike the other test that we had, you get limited laps for Superlights. So a lot of drivers came in early doors before we were on air, and then have since left, and we are just stuck here all by ourselves. But not quite that deep, not quite that depressing. If you're just joining us, this is your first time watching GPVWC, and you fancy getting involved, you see the pre-season test, think, oh, this looks quite serious, I could be doing this, I could be a sim racer, head on over to the description of the YouTube live stream and make sure that you head over to the website to find out more. Head over to the Discord to find out how everything is run. Most of the things are done through there. And, well, we don't bite, we're quite nice. And if anyone wants an interview or has anything to say, don't be afraid to message me or Carlos Martin alongside me in the commentary box, or even Fabian on the cameras. And we'll be happy to help along and happy to have you in the commentary box. Even if it's the first time watching, I don't know. We'll figure something out. Again, final pre-season test before we get going on the 11th of March in Australia, down under Melbourne. The Albert Park Street Circuit sees the opening round of the 2025 Superlight season. Still not quite used to saying 2025 yet, but we will get there. Moritz Kropp is currently the fastest driver in the server with the 1:43.496. We've all seen Daniel Scott, Dominic Rohtjarv, Deju, Bulio, and Skinner. Those are the 7 drivers in the server at the moment. Again, unfortunately, because it's a pre-season test, people come and go. We can't really tell you who's fastest, unfortunately, but Moritz Kropp doing a great job at the moment. Looks like, Carlos, that we've got another interview, and it might be in the form of Harry Smith.
Yeah, I mean, the favorite, according to Ruben Machete, has joined us to just do an interview. Just a quick mention, the fastest driver so far in the test has been Luke Mitchell with a 41.3 in the leaderboards. Well, here in the test, there are drivers that they do quali laps. There are drivers who just do the required amount of time lapse that is needed, and that's pretty much about it. As we see Daniel Scott with a red compound, that could be the C4 or the C5. I'm not really sure, since all the compounds are available. But yeah, we can do the interview to Harry Smith, according to Ruben Machete, one of the favorites to take the championship. I'll track him myself this time.
Yo.
Hello, Harry.
Hello.
So,
Well, let's go ahead. Sorry.
oh yeah, I'll start this time. So, first of all, Harry, congratulations for the promotion to Superlights. Can you explain us a bit your expectations for this season and the team expectations?
Thank you. Well, in terms of expectations, I'm not going to go out and start making any bold claims. I'll listen to what Ruben said. I mean, I hope he's right, but we'll see. Expectations is, I guess, the aim just has to be to get the maximum out of my own performance and the team's performance, and whatever results happen because of that happen. As long as we perform at our best, it doesn't really matter what happens to us, well, in some way.
That's a good approach, and it's a bit we have very little information regarding your teammate Jose Soriano. What can you tell us about him so far?
I mean, I've only known Jose for a short while. He's someone who joined the team recently, but I'm eager to get to know him and work with him over the season. We seem to be fairly close at the moment, and from what I've seen, he's a pretty hard worker, so probably more hardworking than me, but that's not very hard. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to getting to know him, and hopefully we can make a similar charge to the Constructors title like we did last year, except maybe get there this time. But yeah.
Yeah, it will be fine as long as you can do more than 50 meters in the last round, right? That's an important value, right?
Yeah.
But I'm honestly like, of course, this is a slightly biased interview, so I will let Ross continue the interview. As we see Daniel Scott hitting the barrier when he was going in a very fast lap right now. But I'll let you take it right now, Ross.
Yeah, no, that was quite a big shunt from Daniel Scott. Luckily, because of the pre-season test, he is allowed to press escape and go back to the pits, and there is no issues whatsoever. Harry, pleasure to have you along with us in the commentary box. Carlos has busted you up very nicely, so now I'm going to bring you crashing back down to earth with my harsh reviews of you. Yeah, so first of all, test. How's things? How's it going? You excited for the season?
Reasonably excited for the season, to be honest. I think I should have done a bit more preparation than I had at this point, but that's on me. As far as the test today goes, I mean, it's no secret that Baku is far from my favourite track, to be honest. Well, I've just also not driven it that much either because,
It's back.
Yeah, it's Baku and it's a hard track, and well, in FS1 last year I was rather ill when we drove it, so I didn't get much time to practice in and just wasn't having a fun time. And I mean, it's the test. The lap time target is so high that you turn up on the day and you do maybe 2 or 3 laps beforehand on the track, and then you go and do your laps and try and do it all in one go, which I didn't manage to do because I'm an idiot sometimes, and forgot to charge my headset, and then yeah, I had no sound and hit the wall. So
Which wall did you hit? Just taking notes for your team manager, just to...
well, I hit. It was coming out of the castle section on throttle.
Oh no. I think it's the
I
same wall
couldn't
I
hear
hit
the
last year in
tyres.
the race.
Even I could have done a better job than that, Harry. Come on, mate.
Yeah. But you could come down and drive in my rig, and then we'll
We'll
see that.
But I don't think the performance would be much to shout about, and then you probably boot me out immediately afterwards.
I mean, we can have a chat with the team manager and see how it goes.
What if I go in on your account as Harry and no one knows anything? And
Wait, that's illegal. We don't promote illegal things, eh? We don't promote
Carlos, come on.
Well, it's plausible there's another Harry Smith. Come on.
It
I
is
mean,
plausible.
yeah.
It's probably quite a common name, but Carlos, you're also forgetting that I've not had a wheel for 3 years. When I did have a wheel, I was absolutely terrible. There's a reason I'm in the commentary box and not in this session at the moment.
I mean, I'm in the
You were good at
commentary box as
karting
well,
in
so-
GPV there. That counts.
I could kind of do that, even though I'm slightly a bit too tall for it. But I just sim race, I just can't hack it. It's one of them things, I guess. I'm just terrible. Anyway, moving on from me being terrible at racing. You talked about how you don't like Baku. Luckily for you, Harry, Baku's not on the calendar this year. It's still a pre-season test, and that's it.
I was very happy.
Yeah.
Bad decision.
Again, we saw at GPV Day back in Warsaw last year. Calendar's had a bit of a shake-up. We've got 3 DLC tracks coming in this year in Nürburgring, Bar, and Monza. And again, a big shake-up. We've lost a couple of tracks in here in Baku. We've lost the Red Bull Ring. We've lost Imola. We've lost Shanghai. What's your feelings on the calendar from a driving perspective? Because coming from a commentator or from a fan perspective, there's good bits. There's bits I'm not so much of a fan of. I'm with all due respect to league organiser Will Panissi. Why is Brazil on last round of the season? That's quite frankly sacrilege. But I think it's quite a good calendar. What's your opinions on it? Are you excited? Is there a couple of rounds you're going to struggle with?
I mean, I'm reasonably happy with the calendar. I mean, the tracks that I tend to be like tracks that are always going to be in the calendar, like Silverstone, Suzuka, probably Monza to an extent as well. I quite enjoy Singapore as well. I mean, there's some tracks that I haven't driven in a while, such as Istanbul. Well, I've not driven Australia since the start of last season, so getting used to that again as well. Jeddah as well, that's going to be one that I've not driven much on as well. So there's I think my performance tends to be. I have some tracks that I'm better at than others. It tends to be quite up and down. So I'm just going to try and focus on improving at the tracks that I don't necessarily like as well, rather than just not doing laps because I don't like the track. So yeah.
So it's basically just you're gonna turn up and see anything.
Nah, I'm gonna do my best, like I always try and do. But yeah, we'll see.
But we'll wait and see. I think that's everything from me. Carlos, if you have anything else to ask, go ahead.
No, well, I will ask the same question I did to Ruben. Which team or which drivers do you think are going to be around you the most during the season if we need to put a rivalry with?
Around me the most, but
Around you and around the team, yeah, like, you know.
That's a difficult question, to be honest. Yeah.
I mean, I can ask you if tomorrow the sky is going to be blue in Manchester, which is not.
It
No,
won't,
it's not.
no.
No, it's not.
That's why, I mean, we ask interesting questions, right?
Yeah, I'm not in match. I'm in Wales tomorrow on a darts game, so I can tell you.
I mean, hopefully there's no one near us because we'll be so far out in front. So.
Yeah.
But I mean, realistically, there's a lot of strong teams through North. It'll be interesting to see who comes in for David now as well. Jan Sikora, I don't think you can count him out either. Fusion will be decent as well.
So you think you will be fighting Fusion Racing?
Not
during the
necessarily.
season?
I mean, we'll be fighting everyone at some point.
Everyone and no one, but I want you to say one team. Come on.
Can I say Brem, or is that not allowed?
I mean, Brem is a strong team, yeah. Why it shouldn't be allowed?
Well, because we work with allegedly.
Allegedly, what? Sorry, I didn't hear it.
Allegedly we work with them. Can neither confirm nor deny.
Okay, that's an interesting thing to say. Okay. Well, I mean, in track you will always fight.
Yeah, not on track. But yeah.
Yeah.
In development, but yeah.
That's cool to hear. There is always teams that actually work on like testing and setuping and sharing information. And well, Ruben actually hinted that they were working with Fusion because of Renko. And if I'm not mistaken, something similar happens with Drake, True North, and probably another one, but I right now don't have the knowledge to actually confirm it by blood. So yeah, this is something that happens, and well, I mean, finishing ahead of the people you work off track, that's a good objective because you fight with the similar material. At the same time, it's like beating your own teammate. So, Harry, are you gonna beat your own teammate this season?
We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
Such a boring answer, isn't it? I mean, I know we're in a contest the pre-season test, but come on, Harry.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know him well enough to make a judgment. But I'll do the nice thing and say no. I'll say he's going to beat me.
What a bit of fight or not. I'm going to butter my teammate this season. He's useless. He doesn't even know how to turn a wheel. Come on. With all due respect to your teammate, I'm just trying to create a bit of excitement here, to be quite frank.
Yeah, I said last year same about Owen, and it didn't work for me, Ross. So, yeah, it's happens. But yeah, is there anything else you want to add, Harry, to your interview?
Not really, to be honest.
Harry, fancy a pint at some point?
Yeah, sure.
Done. Sorted. I'll
You know,
message her.
when,
That was
when,
easy,
I,
wasn't it?
when I win a race, so never.
Yeah, go on. I'll go on.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Harry Smith, for joining
No
us.
worries.
Deep voice again. Yeah, hope the test went well. See you in Australia.
Yeah, I'll see you later, man.
Great to hear from Harry Smith. And, yeah, sounds like he's well. Again, if worse comes to worse, I'm vaguely worried if something will bang his door and tell him off. Well, looks like we've got another interview as well with Kurt Rohtjarv, who I believe is a newer driver to Superlight, should I say.
I'm not sure, man. I think
Yeah,
he's driving for FS2.
I know. I just said he's a newer driver to Superlights. That's all. Well, I also didn't think he was on the.
He's driving for Excellion, actually.
Ah, okay.
In FS2.
Because I saw he was in the test earlier. Should we drag Kurt in? Again, not being rude to him. Kurt, can you hear us in the commentary box?
Yes, I can.
Fantastic stuff. Well, hello, welcome to Superlights. Hope you're doing okay. Saw you in the test session earlier. Looked like it was going okay. How's things going for you?
Yeah, it's going well. 2 preseason tests now done. Of course, the Superlights car isn't really foreign for me, as last year I got some chances with True North Motorsport, but it was a long time ago, I must say. So yeah, haven't been driving something with so much torque in a long time. Compared to FS2, it's a different dimension, I would say. So yeah, handling the throttle is quite difficult for me, but yeah, so is the tire wear, but yeah, I'll get used to it sometime.
Practice makes perfect, as they say. Yeah, interesting you mentioned, comparing to FS2. Obviously, the Superlights car is a lot quicker. As you said, there's a lot more power, a lot more torque. There's a lot more aero to deal with as well. What would you say driving, what's the biggest difference between the Superlights car and the Formula Sprint 2 car?
I would definitely say the tire. The car is eating the tires, so yeah.
Is that you driving it, or is that just the part of the car?
I think it's the part of the car because.
You mean the SL2 car?
Yeah.
Well, I've had positionings of some other drivers that is actually occurring the opposite of what you are explaining. So maybe it is into a setup thing.
Or it's just me.
I'm sure it's not you. I'm sure it's fine.
I will think otherwise. I think it's still me because yeah, I'm so used to such aggressive driving style, which we needed to use in FS2 last year. So yeah, just it's something I need to get used to for sure. As the FS2 car is also something totally different from last year. So yeah, I got to get my driving style now different because yeah, the driving style, old driving style isn't really helping me quite a lot right now. So yeah, let's see. As you said, practice makes perfect. So let's see where it will bring me.
It does indeed. What's your plan for this year? What are you doing? Are you aiming for titles? Are you aiming for race wins? Aiming for podiums? What's the thinking going into this year?
I think, yeah, for sure, into FS2, a race win would be nice, maybe multiple, but yeah, podiums is definitely my goal for this year. But title, I think it's too far. It's a fairy tale if it would happen, because it's my first full year in GPVWC now. So yeah, let's see what future will bring. So yeah. But for Superlights, my goal is to be quick and don't crash. So nothing more I can hope for. So I'm not a primary, but
I
yeah,
mean, that's what Alex Laho did last year, and he ended up winning the title. So anything is possible. So it's just about kind of going into it with a positive mindset, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. I can't really promise anything because, well, last time I promised something, it turned out to be different than what I promised. So, yeah, my promises aren't the most accurate, I would say. So I don't make promises. Let's say so.
We'll wait and see. Of course, Superlights, or not Superlights, FS2 should I say. That gets going 4th of March. Toby Davis and Alex Folks bringing you all of the action from Australia with our beloved Fabian Jungbluth on the cameras for that as well. Yeah, not very far away is the opening round of the FS2 season. Yeah, what's the plan? You going into it positive mindset, win some races, have some fun, or is Australia not the track for you?
Everyone's goal is to have fun for sure. Yeah, I really don't know. I don't know how to make predictions. I should say my pace in Australia is quite decent compared to last year. So yeah, I think maybe top 10 I can like promise for now, but yeah, of course a podium would be nice, but yeah, I think it's too much to ask for myself for first round after not being in the seat for now a month. So
well, again, as we both would say, practice makes perfect. Carlos, anything to say?
I wish you the best of lucks in your FS2 campaign. And just to mention, you were saying it, the tests in SL2 are very important. I would say even more important than in SL1 due to the low availability of points. So you even though you will not participate in bringing the points by participating in the races, you can bring a very important role into the team by just doing these test races, test sessions. So that's very important. So best of luck for you for the season, Kurt.
thank you. And I hope to make an appearance as my reserve role as well in one of the rounds. So yeah, let's see what future brings.
Hopefully we'll see you soon at some point, Kurt. Thank you very much for joining us. Again, best of luck for FS2. That was Kurt Rohtjarv, everyone. Great to hear from him. Again, if you fancy an interview, me and Carlos, we're here for the next 25 minutes, even though there's only 4 cars in the session. But great to hear from Kurt Rohtjarv. And great to hear from a different perspective from a driver who is in as a reserve, but mainly competing in a different series here at GPVWC down in FS2. The first step onto the GPVWC career ladder. That was very, very interesting. But yeah, me and Carlos will be here till the end of the session. We get bored, which of course is not going to happen because Superlights is the best GPVWC series, as I've been saying for years and years and years. It's the one that everyone wants to be in because it's where you can prove yourself to get into Super League. So the fighting is just relentless, and we cannot wait to get going in Australia in a couple of weeks' time. It should be very, very interesting. Carlos Martin, I'll go to you. Obviously, you've you drive up in Super League. You do a bit of managing here as well. You've tested this car. What's it like behind the wheel of a Superlights car? You know, what does it take? You were mentioning tyre wear there a moment ago. You had a bit of a disagreement with Kurt over the tyre wear. Yeah, I mean, obviously the SL2 car, it's a bit of a handful, a bit of a beast in its own right. Yeah, but to the layperson, to the person such as me who doesn't race anymore and just wants to dream about being good at sim racing, what's it like behind the wheel of a Superlights car?
I think the Superlights car this year, we can say it's like, ironically, the little brother of Super League. Whereas last year, it felt like, yeah, it felt like a bit underpowered at some points. That the grip you had, it was too high to compare to the power ratio. Whereas this year, I think there are more similarities in the driving style, although there are big differences in terms of how you manage a race and how you even set up a car. This Superlights car has a bit less downforce and a bit less power than the Super League car, and also has less brake power. So at the end, the racing style is very, very similar.
And one of the changes, one of the last changes that is coming a bit, unfortunately, a bit late, is some tire wear adjustments. So we have more strategy variability, and that's why the point with Kurt was that many teams were asking for, well, some drivers. I will not mention them because they were writing me in DMs. They were saying that the tires were lasting too much, and therefore the strategies would be completely unidimensional, and that is something that is not healthy for the league. And from the modding team understood that, and then they released a testing tires that they are not available right now in this test, but they are available for testing on their own. So essentially, we can say properly this year, it is it feels really like a mini Super League car. And there is another interesting thing, and this is something that last year was not exactly like this. Is that last year I know I am a boring guy. I'm a number guy and
You're not
engineer
boring,
guy.
Carlos. Come on.
I'm gonna go again with the upgrades because it's something different that GPVWC has compared to other leagues. And the factor is that last year the way the upgrades were done, they were like a factor of the Super League car, and this year they are literally one-on-one with the Super League car, and then this means that the upgrades are slightly more powerful compared to last year, and this means that this decision making I was mentioning with Ruben and with forgot to ask Harry about it. Oh, as we see Remco losing the front wing, probably he was pushing for a very fast lap. Are very important for this year's decision, and I'm really excited to see what the teams are bringing, because yeah, from Netrex we had very different perspectives. It's the drivers wanted one thing, and me as a manager wanted a different thing, and at the end you have to listen at least the way we see it, we have to listen to the drivers and take a more flexible approach. If we disagree, just follow the drivers, but we take a flexible way. There are ways to make the upgrades more flexible, and I'm very curious as a spectator myself to see what other teams do, and it's gonna be very interesting, and let's hope that these start changes allows us to have you know, different strategies and some shake-ups. Of course, I will have my own personal intel, and I will, as we see Moritz hitting the wall there as well, not as hard as Remco before, and let's hope I will bring some intel information, and I will tell you when you can expect the pit stops to happen, and which tire strategies we expect to see. And yeah, I really can't wait. It's from a spectator point of view, from a commentator point of view, and from a manager point of view. As we see Moritz doing 41.3, which must be said, I was wrong before with the fastest lap time. It was not 41.3, it was a 40.4 from Harry Smith actually. So just got a small correction on that, and yeah, I'm very interested. I can't wait to be in 2 weeks in Australia. At the same time, you get nervous because it's only 2 weeks, so there has been teams that have been prepping a lot the track, and there are teams that are, as Harry said, maybe focused on other areas, maybe on understanding the car a bit more into the future, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be very unpredictable, and as Ruben said, you cannot forget KP86, which They have a bit under the radar lineup. So yeah, it's gonna be fantastic.
It will be. On the subject of KV86, this is not their livery for this season. We've been
Shame. It was
yeah,
the best of all time. It was the GOAT. It was the GOAT.
It was the goal. But team boss Christian Vajdar has been aggressively telling us this is not the correct livery. There's either been a problem or they've not got the right one at a time. So apparently tonight, in the GPVWC Discord server, on the Superlights channel, which of course join if you're not part of there yet, excuse me, they will be doing a livery reveal for what they're coming up with this season. I mean, it is just a block of blue, to be fair. So I'm going to assume that that's not the actual, that was not intended to be the actual car. That we're seeing Ben Skinner pilot around the tight and twisty streets of the Baku street circuit at the moment. So that's a bit of excitement for later on. Bit of a livery reveal from KV86, but we've had most of the liveries done for this season, to be fair. Everyone's looking very, again, Superlights this year, it's just looking outrageous. We've got great teams, great drivers, great liveries, a decent calendar, depends on who you ask. Some of the drivers aren't the biggest fans, but some of them are. And yet again, 2025 looking like it's going to be a very, very strong season. Just under 60 minutes left on the clock in this pre-season test. There's only 3 drivers in the server currently. I'm expecting that to trickle away over the rest of the session. Again, this pre-season test, given that it is the second one for Superlights, it's you get limited laps, and a lot of the drivers, they were going around before we came on air, so we're missing it, unfortunately. But don't be afraid, 11th of March, we're here, we're ready, we are raring to go for the first race of the season as we head to virtual Down Under, making the 24-hour flight round to Australia for Melbourne, the Albert Park Street Circuit. A modern classic, if you will. I know a lot of people often go, oh, Adelaide was better, oh, yeah, Adelaide had some classic races. You're just incorrect. You're incorrect. Melbourne is brilliant. It's fantastic. There's so many classic moments there as well. All you have in your mind is just Ayrton Senna doing some good laps. And quite frankly, you need to step outside and touch some grass. Anyway, moving on from me.
I will say, just to point on that, like Australia, the layout right now is better than before. It's still overrated, the set. It's still overrated, the set. Right now,
people chat about how good Adelaide is. Like, it's not like it's horrendous.
No. Adelaide was terrible. But I mean, Melbourne has improved since the previous layout as well. But at the same time, it's a track, I call it the wind tunnel. It's you just have a car in front of you punching the air. You have 4 DRS zones, which is mental, and it's a wind tunnel. You know, you see cars following each other with DRS open all the time, and it's pretty crazy. But it's not the best track. I would say it's not the best track. It's a nice track to start the calendar. I would say it's not too shabby. It's not the worst. I would say it can give you some actions, and that's the important thing.
No, to be fair, Carl, I don't think anyone's saying it's the best track in the world. I'm sorry.
Oh, ask Owen McGaughey. Yeah. Ask him. He will tell you it's the best track in the world, and no, it's not.
To be fair, the amount of F1 2013 careers that I've started and given up after the first race, I know it like the back of my hand. Even on the, with the new layout compared to the old layout, it is a very good track. Of course, you've got some fantastic scenery. Maybe not simulated in R-Factor 2. You get the leaves blowing down the second straight, which can cause some havoc into the brakes. And you've got the monstrous turn 11 and 12. Again, even more important now that they've removed that chicane beforehand, so you're just flying into there at ridiculous speeds and really just defying the laws of physics and how fast the motor cars can go through there nowadays. And then the tricky final section, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Those corners really, really awkward. As not the ideal route through there from Ben Skinner, and he'll crawl his way back to the pit lane. There's only 12 minutes left in this session. But yeah, that's not a healthy-looking race car. Luckily, there's no such
Did he
thing.
lose the rear? I think he lost the rear, right? And
Yeah, it
then
looks like, I mean,
just
he must
smashed.
have gone back end in and then the front caught and went around with him as well. Luckily in our Factor 2, you don't have to pay for crash damage. There's no such thing as motorsport insurance in sim racing. And because it's a pre-season test, you can escape back to the pit lane, which is exactly what Ben Skinner has done. Maxime Bulliot, one of our 3 drivers left in this session. Maxime for Fusion Racing, both them and Remco de Joux lining up once again for that squad in 2025. They're currently top of the session, 141.729 on the clock at the moment. They're trying to
I can actually tell you what is the current standings of the session.
Carlos, run us through the current standings overall. Who's actually quickest?
So the quickest is Harry Smith with a 140.41. Then we have Maxime with a 41.25, which is the current lap time that you are seeing right now on the screen. And then we have Luke Mitchell, Moritz Kropp, Daniel Scott, David Feider in P6, Norbert Jakob in P7, Joseph Horlock in P8, Remco P9, and then Cass Riffel in P10. That's the top 10. Then we can find some of the names that we were mentioning. Philip Pushka 11, Mike Quinn 12, Chris Butcher P14, and all the drivers up to P43. So far I'm missing 2 drivers, which I don't know who they are. We will see later. But if you are a driver from those who missed the test, it's not gonna look great for the season. But yeah, this is currently the timetable, and I think Fusion is, well, as you are a team who is doing a 2nd or a 3rd or a 4th year in Superlights, you have way more budget than a rookie team, so they can actually afford doing extra laps. Every new set of tires and every kilometer of fuel you run, it adds on the financial aspect of the team. For an old team, well, for a more experienced team, it doesn't really make a difference, these added costs. When you are a new team, it's rather be safe than sorry, and that's why we have so many new teams, and then they just stick to do their own laps, and then they press escape and they just say, okay, let's focus back into Australia. But for the rest of the candidates, it's important to pull all the laps. We can see Maxime attacking a lot the curbs there, like last year was meant to be. So probably it's gonna be attacking even further in the coming corners. Probably aiming for this P1 that currently Harry Smith has in the timesheet. So we'll see what lap time the Fusion Racing driver is able to pull in this very lap. So he's heading into the very last part of the track into sector 3. Ooh, he loses it a bit on the braking, although he was very, very, very close to the wall with a good car exit, and then heads into the last braking zone. Here, very important to put the power down fairly easy and very strong. And then you go into this flat area of the track. It's only flat if you properly adjust the car as it's required. If not, you will have a lot of issues. Now the area is open and just completely flat out until you cross the finishing line with a time lap of 141.1, and then Maxime says, this is over for me, let's burn this engine, bring me the upgrades already, come on Remco, bring me the upgrades.
Talk about going out in a blaze of glory. Maxime Bulliot slams on the anchors, locks up the rear, sends it into the barriers and smashes it on fire. Yeah, I think Maxime's run out of laps to do and the test is over, but a great lap nonetheless. 141.105 on the end there for Maxime Bulliot. Looks like Ben Skinner is the only car out on track now with 7 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in this session, the final pre-season test, of course, before we head to Australia in a couple of weeks' time. Great insight there from Carlos Martin, Super League raceman, of course, and fairly decent car. I followed him around on GPVWC. He's all right. He can do a job at a go-kart. And fun on the night out as well, it turns out. But he was unfortunately in hospital, so he couldn't make it to Manchester when we all went to Manchester, and I'll never forgive him for that. That was a joke, Carlos. Yeah, good to hear that you're okay. You're fine. You're fine now. You'll come back at one point in the future.
I'll win all races in exchange. So
yeah,
no, I'm joking. I'm joking.
That's fair deal, fair cop if you ask me. But yeah, no, coming to the end of this test session, again, unfortunately, just because there was limited laps for this one, unfortunately, one of the 3 cars in the session. At this point, only one out on track, Ben Skinner, doing the rounds for KV86 Powerhouse. Again, their livery reveal coming up a little bit later on. To make sure you're tuned in to the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, make sure you join it. It's in the description down below. And you can find out what Christian Valjdar has prepared for everybody. And I'm sure he's going to blow all of our socks off. Currently, Ben Skinner, though, is not lapping too strongly. 5 and a bit seconds off the pace is his best lap as it stands. Let's see if he improves on this occasion as he comes to the start-finish line now. It is not going to be an improvement. Maybe he's doing long fuel runs. Again, part of the fun of testing, you don't know what anyone is doing. It could be long runs, it could be fuel runs, it could be, you know, trying to manage tyres, just doing R&D, just getting the laps done for the sake of getting the laps done. It could be that they're going for all out quality pace. We have simply no idea. And that's part of the fun. Quite frankly, we have to wait until we get to Australia to really find out who is where. It's only really in the qualifying session that we really get the true form. We really get the true understanding of what this season is going to look like. We can make all the predictions we want. We can look at all the drivers, all the teams that we think are going to be... It's not until the 11th of March and the end of that qualifying session we really get an idea of who is where, who's going to be challenging, who is going to be fighting for the Superlights title in 2025. Of course, as I say time and time again, the best GPVWC League. Of course, it's only the second rung of the ladder with the Super League above us as well, and they've still got their final pre-season test to come. That's on Thursday, I believe, off the top of my head, and they'll be doing more of the same as we're doing here. But Superlights, this is where all the chaos happens. It's where all the magic happens. And Ben Skinner is now the sole driver left in this test session, so that he can claim top spot at the checkered flag, I suppose. But with just under 5 minutes to go, it is Ben Skinner and Ben Skinner alone doing laps of the Baku City Street Circuit. So we'll stick with him over the rest of this session until the checkered flag comes out and we wait for 2 weeks until Australia. But Ben Skinner is now weaving, so quite frankly, no idea what he's trying to do apart from warm the tyres, but he's been out for a few laps on this set of rubber, so maybe Ben Skinner's also had enough. He might have also done his lap. And he's doing donuts, so I'm going to take that as a presumptive, yeah, Ben Skinner's done his laps. In which case, we've got 4 minutes to go, Carlos, and there's no one left to talk about. So we'll wait and see what Ben's doing. But I'm going to go on a whim and say that looks like it could be it for our 2025 preseason in Superlights.
Yeah, that could be very the case. You also want to make sure all your laps are getting in before the time runs out, otherwise you will lose RD points, which are key for introducing the upgrades. There are the 2 factors, the money cost and the RDs, so that is important. And the drivers need to do up to a maximum of 125 kilometers, which awards you with RD points. And later you can do more, but you will not be awarded with more RD points. So with all this said and done, we are ready to be in Australia in 2 weeks. So predictions again, Mr. Ross. Who is gonna win Australia? Come on.
Who's going to win Australia? And that's a tricky one, because I know that Australia is not a track that everybody likes. Again, my bank for the season and my bank for Australia, David Fidek, unfortunately, is having to sit out for the time being. Again, sending all our thoughts over to his family and hoping that everyone's going to be okay. And hopefully he can be back in the car sooner rather than later. But as it stands, he's not going to be in Australia at least, and potentially for more of the season. it's just such a strong grid. And again, we don't know who's going to be fast till we get there. Looking at the list of drivers, looking at who's been fast today, looking at the list of teams, Harry Smith is a great shout for it. I don't think we can discount Daniel Hurlock. I don't think either of the rookie monster drivers can be counted out. Ruben Machete as well, we spoke to him earlier. He could definitely be in there. Joseph Hurlock. There's so many people that could be quick. But honestly, I'm going to have to go with Jan Dragoon, I think. I think he ended the season last year so strongly. Again, we didn't see any of him on the broadcast today, but I think True North are going to have a very strong car this year. Obviously, when David gets back in the car, he'll have a very strong teammate in David who's pushing him. The reserve driver, Brodie Lawless himself, is very quick, it must be said. So he's got that push from the team. He's had his learning year in Superlights. He's had his time to get used to Superlights, get used to GPVWC, get used to R Factor 2. I think Jan Dragoon is going to come out of the gate swinging. I think he's going to be the man to beat in Australia. And I think he may be the man to beat this season, Carlos.
Yeah, that's what I said, that he's the man to beat this season. The first race is always a tricky one, because I think whoever understands the most the car, I think will be with a huge advantage into round one, which will keep decreasing as the runs go on. For me, it's hard to tell. It's not easy at all. I want to say a different name than you. I want to. You stole my name, Yeah, I know it is your boy. I know it is your boy, but you stole it from me when you heard he was my favorite for the title contention.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he was second after David Fidog for me.
Nah,
To be fair, I
nah.
think
You betrayed your boy.
honestly, if David was able to do the full season, I would have put my money behind David. Again, like there was no left in the session. That is the end of the preseason test. Yeah, David, he's such a strong driver. He's done so much up in Super League. Obviously, he dropped back to Superlights last year due to family commitments and just what was he able to do in terms of being able to race. But we saw how strong he was last year, won a few races, was close a couple of times as well. Yeah, David was my absolute bet. I had a feeling going into this year that David was going to be the man. Obviously, life has got in the way, unfortunately for him. And again, we are sending our thoughts over to him. Hopefully everything is okay. Hopefully he can be back in the car soon and back with us here in Superlights to provide more of that David Fidog magic that we so much love. But again, Jan is, again, I've known him since he raced back in Assetto Corsa years and years ago. He's such a phenomenal talent. He's got so much natural ability behind the wheel. And last year was, again, very much a learning year, but picked up a few podiums, picked up a fantastic win at the last round in Sao Paulo. If he's done the work in the off-season, I think he could very much be in with a shout this year.
Yeah, I agree. While you were saying this speech, I was scrolling down the names of the Superlights list to see who could else be contention to win Australia that maybe it's a bit under the radar. So I would say a bit of an under the radar name. And this might be a very shocking name, what I would say, but I think he's one of the candidates to win Australia, and that's Tom Sutherland. And I've known Tom for a lot of time. I've known Tom since 2014, and I know his speed. I know his commitment. I know he's committing a lot this season, way more than what he did last year in FS1. In FS1, he had small highlights during the season. He had a really dramatic starting to the season due to the low effort commitment he was doing. But I will say, knowing him, knowing that he's used to bigger cars like the Super League car and something more similar to the Superlights car, and he's very knowledgeable, very data driven, and
and I know firsthand he's very motivated right now and doing a big effort. I'm not saying he's gonna win Australia. I would say don't be shocked if he's actually winning in Australia or very close to win.
I mean, it's anyone's guess. I mean, if you told me this time last year that Alex Lahoe was going to dominate 2024 in Superlights, I would have laughed, quite frankly. And then he went on to dominate and was the best driver on the grid and won, you know, the most races out of everyone and was, just the class of the field. It's anyone's guess, quite frankly. Again, it's just the nature of sim racing.
First race, he was starting P2 or P3, I think, because it was the Palace who were actually ahead because it was a race session.
Get to Australia. Yeah,
let's keep the talking for the next broadcast, shall we?
Yeah, let's save the talking, shall we? Thanks very much for joining us for our final pre-season test for Superlights. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time, the 11th of March, the first round of the 2025 GPVWC Superlights season. Still the Super League test to come in a couple of days' time, so hopefully see you there. Of course, academies already get going, FS1, FS2, they'll be underway. But the 11th of March, that's the date that we're all got our eyes peeled to. That's the date where GPVWC Superlights kickstarts yet another amazing year as we head to Australia. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you then.